A good morning to you at home and to Olivia Buzaglo, Anton Toloui and Sam Obaseki. What a turn of events over the weekend. After looking like he'd be joining Arsenal, Chelsea stepped in and signed Mykhailo Mudryk from Shakhtar for £88.5 million. Right, Olivia, what did you make of it?
It was a whirlwind, I think, is a good word to use to describe it. A whirlwind over 24 hours. It wasn't even 24 hours. By the time that, you know, there was rumours that Paul Winstanley and Bedat Eghbali had gone over to Turkey where he was playing in a training camp, a mid-season training camp, to then the next morning he was at Chelsea having a medical. And it just, I think the sheer pace of this transfer, I think, was what shocked me the most. But maybe I shouldn't have been surprised. The way Chelsea were acting in this transfer window, maybe it shouldn't have come as that much of a shock to me. But I was at Stamford Bridge reporting on the game yesterday, and it was so much going on just before the game. Obviously, there was the Vialli stuff before the game, and it was like, were Chelsea going to announce it? There was rumours he was going to be there. We weren't sure, but he obviously was announced to the crowd at half-time as Chelsea's new signing. It's an exciting signing, I think. I said similar things about Joao Felix when Chelsea signed Joao Felix, that sort of player that sort of has an eye for a pass that not a lot of people do, and he is so quick. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting signing, but I was shocked to say the least, I think.
And Sam?
I think everyone was shocked, to be honest. Arsenal were linked with him for 2 to 3 months. You know, there was interviews that he did almost insinuating that was the next move that he wanted. You know, he was posting pictures of Arteta, saying that he was a quality manager. There was Arsenal fans doing compilations saying that it's almost done and all of these things. And then I think they wasn't able to meet the requirements that Shakhtar had, and Chelsea had been tracking him this whole month. This isn't the first time we've heard of this rumour, but at the same time, we didn't expect it to happen because of those things that were happening around it. But I think Chelsea just said, we want to get this player. They got it done, announced at Stamford Bridge, and now he's a Chelsea player.
Yeah, and Anton, there's lots of different takes on this. They wanted this player, they just went out, paid the asking price and got him. So does it tell you that they really mean business? Is that how you'd put it?
Business? What kind of a business operates like spending nearly £500 million in 2 windows and is intense? I mean, businesses don't act like that. Football clubs do, and that's the difference, isn't it? You can look at it one side. Chelsea have been aggressive, you know, not just with Mudryk, but they've gone out, like you said, identified a target, went out to Turkey and made sure he was getting on the plane with them when they came back. That is aggressive. That is making sure they get their player. But going into this window, was he their top target? I don't know, because you look at this, you know, look how much they've spent compared to the other Premier League signings in history. What's that? Top 5 on a player that's got fewer than 50 league games under his belt and one Champions League campaign. It's a lot. It's a massive outlay, you know, to be put up there with the likes of Grealish, Romelu Lukaku, and that kind of thing. Who've, you know, got Premier League experience, you know, big experience. It's a risk from Chelsea. I admire the tenacity, the aggressiveness, the way they've gone out there and gone, do you know what? Right, someone at this club has identified him as a target. We are making sure he becomes a Chelsea player. But there is a risk. And I know it's a spread over 8.5 years. And I know it's going to, you know, but Chelsea could be paying this off for a long time. If it doesn't work, he ends up going, you know, another club and they try and sell him on. They're still going to be paying him off. We used to joke, didn't we, that Chelsea would always be paying off managers for years. But now you look at their transfer strategy. If these moves don't pay off in the next couple of years, they're going to be paying off players' transfer fees for years to come. So it's an interesting tactic to see what they're doing.
I would say, obviously, it said £88.5 million. I think initially it is something around £60 million. And then the extra is add-ons if Chelsea win the Champions League and the Premier League. So I'm sure Chelsea will be happy enough to pay those add-ons and get it up to that fee if they were to win one of the big trophies, whether Mudryk contributes or not.
Yeah, it's the what is market value. Yeah. And you can look at every single deal that Chelsea's done over the last sort of, you know, 6, 7, 8 months, and you go, right, well, what was the market value? Have Chelsea overpaid in the short term for all these players? For Mudryk, for Cucurella, they're going to overpay, for example, for Nkunku more than his release fee, so they can get him into the building as well. These are the signings that they've made so far this month, and you go, actually, how many of those? And the thing is, yes, I get it. Like, they're looking years in advance, but they still have short-term targets, and there would have been targets available for less that could have had more of an impact potentially right now. So it's interesting to see what Chelsea do.
But then they bought in Joao Felix, haven't they? And that's for right now. So I think he's almost been the player they've bought in to go, he can solve Chelsea's problems for the short term. But most of those, of course, are long-term.
And I also think that this isn't just a Chelsea thing. We've seen in the last few transfer windows in terms of the teams going in to buy potential. We've seen, Rutter, we spoke about him last week. He hasn't scored that many goals, but he's going to a team that needs goals, but they're seeing the potential that he has. So I think with Chelsea, you're seeing their form and understanding that they do need forwards that are going to hit the ground running. And with this signing, it was almost too good not to go for, especially when you see his record in the Champions League, see how young he is and see his potential and the fact that he wants to undertake that pressure and come to a big club at Chelsea.
Yeah, but again, the Champions League is only a very short body of work against varying teams, against Real Madrid and Celtic. And so it's difficult to get an idea of how good he can be based on that short sample. And it's the case that look, he's the second most dispossessed player in the Champions League group stage so far. So it shows that he's still really raw. It's still time. You've got to allow the man time to adapt, time to come in and settle. And with the transfer fee and with the fact that there's going to be a lot of pressure for him to come in and plug in and play straight away, because even though there's still needs within that Chelsea team and there are key players out injured as well. So there's a good chance he's going to come in and play straight away. So that's a lot of pressure on the player.
But we're asking everyone on Twitter to sum up Chelsea's transfer window in one word. I'll be honest with you, we can't read all of them out. This one from Slimsy, who just says money. Sam says incomplete. Scorpio says great. Jeffrey says panic buys. OK, that's 2 words.
That's not allowed.
For that one.
Not allowed.
Caroline says haphazard. Yash, again, another 2 words, long-term project. In fact, long-term's 2 words.
Yeah,
that's
a little
just
dash,
3
does
words,
it
isn't it? Yeah. Ben Costa says busy. Ian says overindulge. Kit says scattergun. I've let you off if you've said 2 or 3 words, but there's a whole paragraph here from Bibo Da Handsome, so that one doesn't count. But quite a few coming in here for Chelsea fans. If you can do it in 1 word, let us know. It is #transfer talk. OK, where should we go next? We stay with this. Let's go to Pippa Monique now, OK, to get the Arsenal perspective now. Broadcaster and Arsenal fan. Pippa, always great to see you. Good morning. Welcome to the show. What was your reaction from the Arsenal side of things that Mudryk's gone to Chelsea?
Good morning, first of all. How are you guys? I can give you 1 word, shambolic. I could start with. It's a strange way to run a business as a football owner. There were so many links. Mudryk done interviews with Zinchenko's wife on how much he loves Arsenal and wants to join Arsenal. And it's such a shame, of course, as an Arsenal fan, to see that slip under our fingers. But I think I can trust Arteta and Edu and what they're doing there in not making that signing, because it is overpriced. It's not the price they were looking for. And I think if they wanted to go for a winger that's not entirely proven yet, for such a huge fee, they can just recall Pepe, to be honest with you. So I understand what Arteta did. I trust them. Hopefully they make a key sign in this window.
It does sound, Pippa, like a lot of the Arsenal fans are saying that they quite like this stance. This is what we're prepared to pay. We're not going over it, even if somebody else is willing to go over it. It sounds like you are also a fan of that approach.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen that mistake happen in the past. I'm not calling Pepe a flop entirely, but we paid a huge amount for a young player that was a winger, because we needed someone at that time and we wanted to get it over the line. And huge money was paid under Unai Emery, and it hasn't paid off entirely for Arsenal. So there's no point making that same potential mistake again. Of course, it's a player that Arteta wanted, a young player that he could build into this Arsenal team. Would have been amazing to have that option, to have another winger come on, because Saka's been playing pretty much every game, Martinelli as well. So it's nice to have those options to come off the bench, because we didn't really have that against Newcastle, and that was a result that didn't go our way. So yeah, I'm glad they're making a stance.
You're now being linked with Rafinha, who, of course, you're after in the summer as well as an alternative. Would he be a good option?
Yeah, he's not a bad option. It's a shame, though, that we didn't get him when we needed him. He went off to his dream signing into Barcelona, but that hasn't turned out well for him. I think he's only had 7 starts or 7 games there, so in the Liga. So if that's a player that Arteta wants and he can fit into this style of play and join a team, who wouldn't want to join a team that's currently top of the table and has been every week this season so far? That should be a dream signing for him, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. As long as we get someone over the line that's going to add to this team, this is Arsenal's best chance yet of winning a league title in years. So if they can get someone over the line that's going to add to that and improve us this season, of course, it's a good signing.
Pippa, just stay where you are. I'm just going to ask the panel about Rafinha and Anton. We know him in the Premier League. Obviously, did very well at Leeds. He was wanted by a few other Premier League clubs, but went out to Barcelona. Would he be a good fit instead of Mudryk at Arsenal?
Pippa's come out fighting this morning, hasn't she? who wouldn't want to join Arsenal? Mudryk. Pippa, the answer to that. I think it's an interesting one, Rafinha, because I think everybody likes somebody that's proven in the Premier League, and it's almost like a safe bet, I suppose. But it's interesting because you go from when Arsenal wanted him in the summer and you've been like, well, he's guaranteed starter. And now you're like, well, is he even at Arsenal right now? Are they signing him as a luxury to help them, to back up their Premier League push? You're right, it hasn't quite worked out for him in Barcelona, but he does love Barcelona. He said it, that's his dream. I think getting him out of Barcelona will be difficult for the club more than anything else if they do decide to move on for him. He's only played 650 minutes in La Liga this season, which isn't particularly many, but obviously, look, he was celebrating after they won the Super Cup last night. He said on social media there's more to come. It sounds like he wants to stay for the long term, but yeah, proven Premier League player who obviously previously linked to Chelsea as well. So it would be interesting to see if he made a Premier League comeback, but I'd be very surprised if it's now.
Right, Pippa, let's go back to you here. I know this isn't really transfer related, but I've got to ask you, surely, do you think this is going to be Arsenal's year? They're going to win the league?
Oh, please ask me that after United and the City games, please. It's still too early for me to answer this. I've been asked this every week, I think, since about October. Since we were winning games, everyone's like, oh, you're winning games. That's strange. But it's still too early to say. I mean, it's our best chance. I've been enjoying the football, not just the results. I've been enjoying the way the team has been playing, how much certain players have improved. And I think this is the first time in a long time that I've looked at every single player in the starting 11 and said, you are brilliant. So that's a great start. But yeah, I mean, it's very likely. But it's still too early to say anything can happen. But having an 8-point gap at the top of the table is a nice cushion, but it's a long way to go. But I'm like 80% sure. I mean, the target was top 4. So that's definitely on hope. It should be on. But winning the league, dream. That would be an absolute dream.
Yeah, well, fantastic performance yesterday, as it has been all season. Pippa, great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Take care.
A few more one-word reviews of Chelsea's transfer window so far. We've got Simon, who's gone with erratic. Chris says bankruptcy. I'm not sure if that one's quite accurate. Darren says lunacy. Simon says desperate. A few people saying FFP, as in financial fair play. Mackenzie says exciting. Another one here just saying help. All right. Oh, and another one here, Anthony, saying optimistic about them. Now, you're looking at all these players here at the wall there. And that's a look at all of Chelsea's forward options, a list at Graham Potter's disposal there. So there they all are. What do you think of that, Olivia, when you see it? Because there's a lot of talent there.
Not currently available to Graham Potter is what I should say, because a lot of the players on that board there are currently injured, or a few of them anyway. We're still yet to see whether a few of the youngsters will go out on loan. Armando Broja's out for the whole season. Aubameyang, we're not sure whether he's going to stay past this January transfer window. But there are some exciting young players in there, and ones that I really think we will see in Chelsea's starting 11 for a large majority of the rest of the season. So I think it's exciting, albeit there is a lot of them. And once those players are back fit, Graham Potter's going to have such a challenge working out how to keep everyone happy, especially in a team that are currently down in 10th. So, yeah, when they're all back fit, it could become a problem. But right now, he's only got a few of them available. Something that stands out to me, Sam, there is if you talk about out-and-out strikers, I only really see Aubameyang. We don't know yet about Fofana, whether that is going to be his main position as an out-and-out striker. But the rest of them can kind of float across the front three. Yeah, and I think that's what Potter wants. You know, we've seen at Brighton and Chelsea this season as well. He likes playing a fluid front line, but even Broja, he's a player that can go down the middle, and it was unfortunate that he got injured at the time that he did, because I genuinely feel that they were going to try and move forward with him. But yeah, when you look at the players, you can see the names, but at the same time, there's injuries, form, so much comes into it. So it's a good problem to have. And Hudson-Odoi and Nkunku next summer as well. And Lukaku as well. So, I mean, we need a bigger wall for a start. But it's just, again, it kind of figures... I get it, this is the first year under Todd Bowley, but at some point, someone's got to say, right, these are the 6, 7 we go with, and we need to trim this down. Surely that's what's going to come in the summer, you would think, is Nkunku's coming from Leipzig, that's another player in, and I think Graham Potter will have a difficult job trying to work out which players are going to stay and which players are going to go. But Chelsea can't afford to have all of those players on the books for only literally a couple of positions. So I think there will be a high number of players, especially attacking players, that will leave Chelsea in the summer.